Okay, good morning, everyone. Today our webinar is about dashboarding and management reporting in MS Excel. So let me know if you can hear me well. If you can just send me a thumbs up or a message if everybody can hear me well. Then otherwise, we'll wait for others to join. But for the meantime, I'll just send some polling questions to everybody. So if you can answer some of the questions, okay, I send you some polling questions for you to respond. Okay, I think we have enough questions or response from the attendees. I'll end the polling question and then I'll share the results to everybody. So, okay. So, ang questions lang naman is, are you familiar with the following features in Excel? So, most of you are familiar with Excel table, which is very good because Excel table is one of the most underused feature in Excel. And it is very important in dashboarding as well. And also, most of you are familiar with charts and pivot table, probably around 25%. But most of you are familiar with charts. So, okay, thank you for those who responded with our questions. And now we will proceed with our actual webinar training. So, I'll turn off my video para yung signal sa inyo is mas okay, and also on my end as well para we do not buffer. Okay. Okay, again, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining again for our webinar about dashboarding and management reporting in MS Excel. So good morning again. So about the webinar, I am using Microsoft 365 version of Excel. So this is the latest version of Microsoft. If you are not using Microsoft 365, most of the features naman will work on older version. Okay, and sessions are recorded, and we will provide access to those who register for the webinar. And also for the presentation and materials will also be provided after the webinar. So just first of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Cyrus Persia. I founded PivotVist for us to conduct Excel training and Power BI training in Manila. So I have 20 years experience in auditing, financial analysis and management reporting. So just like you, are you a big user of Excel? I use it every day, and this is the tool that really helps me in my work. I started my career as an auditor in one of the big four auditing firms. Then after that, I work as a financial analyst. And the last 10 years, I'm working overseas in senior analyst roles. So I work in different diverse industries, FMCG, oil and gas, and management consultancy. And I also love attending classes about Excel and Power BI. There are a lot of classes nowadays that we can attend. There's also a lot of changes in Excel. Excel has been providing a lot of updates, new features, new functionalities for the last month. So if we are using Microsoft 365, I think it is better for us to learn how to use the new functionalities in Excel. So that's just about me. So yeah, I think I already mentioned about the survey, so we don't need to. So pareho lang naman yung questions natin. Okay, so about dashboarding in Excel, it's actually quite popular a few years back, but since Power BI was released 5 years ago, most of those who does dashboarding in Excel already transform to becoming a user of Power BI. Kasi Power BI, as we all know, is the gold standard in visualization tool, and it's also a Microsoft product. That's why most of those people na gumagawa ng dashboard before sa Excel ay they are now using Power BI. But not to say the least that Excel, dashboarding in Excel is not anymore being used by a lot of the Excel users. Actually, mas maganda nang ang gumamit ng dashboarding sa Excel ngayon because of the many functionalities and features that Excel releases for the past months or for the past years. We will not cover those in application today. What we will cover today is for our 1-hour webinar is just the basics. So we can start using dashboarding in Excel. So this is actually the roadmap on how we can start dashboarding in Excel. First of all, we need to have our data. So our data needs to be first to be in a tabular format. So we should have a tabular, our data should be in a tabular format. What is the meaning of the tabular format? We need to have headers at the top of our data, and then we do not have yung mga blank spaces or blank rows and blank columns, and we should not have subtotal or totals at the end. And then after that, we need to convert our raw data from a normal data set to an Excel table. So, doon naman sasagot nyo sa polling questions kanina, most of you, I think around 80% knows about, familiar about Excel tables. So, it's very important that we convert our data set into an Excel table. Next, from transforming or converting our data set into an Excel table, then we can create pivot tables, then pivot charts, then we combine and automate, and then we can create dashboards. So we'll go through all these steps today, starting from a raw data, then turning it into an Excel table, pivot chart, combine and automate, then dashboard. So if you have any questions throughout the webinar, you can send it through chat, and then later on we'll have a question and answer towards the end of the webinar. So we'll go to the actual demo. I'll just open the file. So this is our data set. So our data set should be tabular. So yun ang sabi natin, it should be in tabular. What's the meaning of tabular? We should have column headers at the top. So if what's the meaning of column headers? So just like this one, it says date, then everything that falls below it should be dates. And then business unit, it should be the business unit of the business. In this case, meron lang tayong dalawang business unit. It's direct and wholesale. And then city, ito lang yung mga cities in the Philippines. And then managers, yung name na managers. So that's what a tabular data is. And then another meaning or another requirement for it to be called a tabular data, we should not have blank columns or blank rows. So, and then also we should not have subtotals in between and then grand total below. So if we have those three requisites met, then we can call it a tabular data set, and we can convert this tabular data set into an Excel table. So converting a data set to an Excel table, we can just go to insert table, but the shortcut key is Control T. T for Tango. So Control T. So Excel immediately identifies your data set. It says here, where is the data of your table? It automatically identifies that your table is from A1 to G4990. So that's the end of our data set. And then it automatically checks my table has headers. So all we need to do is we just click OK. Now, after converting it to an Excel table, we'll have a contextual tab at the top, which says data table design. So we can choose our different table designs here. So you have light, medium, and dark, but you can also turn it off. You can just say none. So parang hindi siya Excel table if you like it that way, but you can also choose some of the designs available for you. Okay, and then maybe I'll choose that one. Let's choose that one. And then the next thing that we need to do is we need to give our table a name. So we can do it on this section here. So let's just say data na lang. Okay, so once we have a proper Excel table, we've given our Excel table a name, we can now start inserting or creating pivot table. So the shortcut key to insert a pivot table is Alt and V. So we just need to select inside, anywhere inside the pivot, the Excel table, and then let's press Alt and V. Okay, then select a table or range. Excel automatically detects our Excel table. So, di ba kanina binigyan natin siyang name, ang pangalan natin is data. So, automatically Excel detects that Excel table and our name is specified in the table range. And then choose where you want the pivot table report to be placed. New worksheet. And then we just click OK. So now from here, we have our first pivot table. What we can do is we can now create our first pivot table. Let's say we wanted to have the first thing pala I do when I have my first pivot table created is I put yung sales amount or yung anything that has an amount column directly to the values, or just click check. And then from here, we need to format the our number. So right click here, number format, and then we do our formatting this way. So once we have our number formatted, we can now start dragging yung different fields to create our first pivot table. So let's say first gusto natin wholesale, and then the date. We wanted to create a sales over time. So in my version of Excel, nag-automatically groupings yung years. What we can do is undo that and we can group it just by right-clicking, group it by months and years. Now we have months and years, and we have the business unit direct and wholesale, and then we have a grand total. The next thing that we need to do is to give our pivot table a name as well. So let's say this is our sales over time. And then I just give the same name to the worksheet. So it's not actually a requirement, but it's just my habit na to create as the same name dun sa worksheet with the same name as my pivot table name. So after we created their first pivot table, we just need to format it. The way I format my pivot table, I like my report layout to be in tabular form. So it's just a matter of preference, but my preference is to use a tabular form. Makikita nyo, if you use a tabular form, all the categories or all the fields will have its own column para naging columnar siya. No? And then we'll just take out the grand total. We don't need the grand total to create pivot chart. So grand total for rows and columns, and also the subtotal dito sa baba. So we just need to turn it off. Do not show subtotal. So what we will have is this report. We have years, we have date, and then the two business unit. The sales for the two business unit, direct and wholesale. So after we have our first pivot table, we can now insert our pivot chart. So we'll choose the line chart. We'll just choose this line chart here. So the first thing that I do if I have my chart is to hide all the field buttons on chart because I don't need it. And I also hide the grid lines. And for this specific chart, I like the legends to be at the top. So now we have our first pivot chart. So if we go back to our dashboarding from start to finish, first we have our data in tabular format, which is in tabular format. We check it. Our first row is header name. And then we do not have any blank rows or column. And then we do not have subtotal and grand total. So we're done with the first one. And then we converted our tabular format to an Excel table by pressing Control-T. And then after that, we created pivot tables by pressing Alt and V. And then we inserted the pivot chart. So now, nandito lang step na tayo. We have our first chart. What we need to do next is to create more chart for us to create dashboard by combining them and automating our chart by creating a slicer. So we need to create more charts. So this is our first chart. For us to create another chart, ang gagawin na lang natin is kakopyahin na lang natin. We'll create a copy of our first pivot chart. To create a copy, hold down Control key and then lift it up and then release. So now we have the second copy of our first pivot chart. So we can create our second pivot chart. Okay. So ang second pivot chart naman natin is the sales by category na lang. So I'll take out years and then I'll put business unit as rows. Business unit category, and then category will just drag it sa columns. And then we'll change our chart type to a column chart. So we'll just use category. Category pala dito sa axis and business unit dun sa legends. So, okay, this is our chart. Sales by category and business unit. So again, we'll just repeat what we did dun sa ating first chart. First is we'll give our pivot chart a name. Sales by BU and category. Then we'll just copy the name. So hindi naman siya mandatory but I just get used to it na. So sales by business unit category. So for this one, we don't need yung legend. So because we already have our legend dun sa first chart natin eh. So we don't need it anymore. So this is our second chart. So let's do two more chart. Again, to create another pivot chart, we need to copy our pivot table. So we can just copy, I'll just copy the first one. So hold down control, lift it up, and then release. So now our third chart, we'll just create yung sales by category. Let's take it out, sales by category. And then we'll make this chart a column chart. Bar chart. Let's select bar chart naman. Now we have a bar chart, but we do not want to show everything. We'll just need to select the top three. So we'll go to the filter, we'll go to value filters, we'll go to top 10, but instead of top 10, we'll just show top 3. So now we have the top three sales by category. Okay, so for this one, we don't need the legend. And we'll just give it a name na lang siguro. Top 3 sales by category. And then we'll give this a name. Masyadong mahaba. So then we'll also give the same name to our pivot chart. Okay, so now we have 3 chart. Let's create one more, one last. So actually, pwede natin gamitin tong last pero we'll just copy it dun sa first chart natin. So hold down control key, lift it up, and then release. For our last chart, we'll use yung top 3 by sales. So let's use city. So same, we'll change the chart type to bar. And then we will only select the top 3. So we don't need the legend. Title, will give this a name. Top 3 sales by city. So I'll just copy the same name to our sheet name and also to our pivot table name. Okay, so now we have 4 charts. What we can do now is we have 4 charts already. What we can do is we can combine the 4 charts and we can automate and then we can create a dashboard. So let's do that. Let's insert another, and then we'll just call this our dashboard. So what we can do is we can just cut and paste, Control X to cut, and dashboard natin, Control V. So we'll just place it here. And then we'll do the same thing to the other charts. Control X and then Control V. Control X, Control V, Control X, and Control V. So okay, once we have our charts pasted in one sheet, we can now insert a slicer. So this is slicer's name here. Ito yung mga header name natin dun sa ating tabular data o dun sa ating Excel table. So we can just use, let's say, yung manager's name. And then we can have the slicers vertically, or we can also make it horizontally by increasing the number of columns to the number of names that they have. So once we have them horizontally set up, we can just adjust our slicer. So now we can check. So if we'll just take off the grid lines na lang. So if I check one of the names of the manager, if I select, we know that ang gumagalaw lang is yung first chart natin. No? This is the only one that gets activated or that gets moving because our chart is created from this pivot table. So balikan lang natin kasi hindi sila nagko-connect, no? So we just need to change the value field. We go to pivot table options, and then for empty cells, we'll just tell them to show 0. So para yan, nagko-connect na sila. So we don't see any gaps. So yes, ang slicers natin is not yet connected to the 3 other charts because it is created from this pivot table. So to create a connection, let's select the slicer. Right mouse click, report connections, and then we can see all the pivot charts that we have created. That's also the reason why we need to give them a name para malaman natin which ones we need to be connected or which ones need to be disconnected. So for this example, we need to connect all 4 of them. So that's why we need to check. So let's try. If I select 1, so all charts now are moving with our slicer selection. Okay, so what we can do next is we can just do some formatting. We can make it larger. And then what we can do is we can create headlines. Because dashboard is not only about chart, but we can also create headlines so we can have a better experience in using the slicers. So ang headlines lang is just numbers that we used with our chart. So to create those headlines, we'll just create another pivot table. So again, we'll just copy, hold down Control key, lift it up, and then released. So to create the pivot table, First is yeah, we'll need to create headlines. One is for the total sales. So what ang ginagawa ko lang, I'm pulling out the numbers out from the pivot table so we can reference it with our text boxes. So siguro yes, siguro yeah, dyan na muna. We'll create the first one. So this is total sales. We'll create headlines. So if we go back to our dashboard, we go insert, we'll insert a text box. And then once this, while the text box is selected, we can go back to the formula bar, equal sign, and go back to the headlines and reference it to that number. Then we can do some formatting. We can make it bigger. So now with that number, every time we selected the manager a name, that number also changes. So ang ibig sabihin lang niyan is si Ira Cruz, ang total sales niya for the total period is 7,725. So this is the total sales for everyone, for all sales manager. And then if you select another one, this number also change, only relating to that specific sales manager. So let's just give this a name. We will just insert another text box and just select it at the top. Let's say total sales. Then a little bit of formatting. Then you can change yeah, we just take out the outlines, the outline, and then we can just combine it with our text box dito sa baba. So parang ganyan. Okay, so what we can do next is we can combine, hold down Control key and also select the text box for that number. Or if we cannot select, meron akong select objects dito na shortcut key which is very helpful. So we can highlight those two. Ayaw pa rin. So we can just select, okay. And then we can shape format and then we can just group. So now once we group them, they are now considered as one. No? So we can move them. So we can create another boxes. So I'm just holding down control, and once I malapit na ako dun sa box, then dinadrag ko lang sila. So that's one way of copying an object in Excel. So these are all total sales. So what we like to do next is we want to create another pivot table. Control V ko lang, Control C, then Control V. Yung another headline naman na pwede natin gamitin, if we go to value field settings, we can change the aggregation or yung sum, how the value is being summarized. So we can choose count. Siguro dito sa second natin, count. And then yung the last is the value field settings is average. So, ibig sabihin lang, this is the total number of sales and then this is the average sales. And this is the average sales. So, format painter to to copy the format of our number. Okay, so now we have 3 headlines. We can just select it. So to our second measure, so that's the count of sales. So nawawala yung formatting niya, no, pagka umuli tayo ng ano. So what we can do, yeah, we can just reformat it. So, and then we select the text. We'll change it number of sales, because our aggregation or summarization value natin is total count of sales. So if we select something, so that number also changes. So now the last one, we reference it to dun sa average sales. Then we just format it again. And then we change it to average sales. Okay. So that's our headlines. So to make it align, yes, there's a question. Yep. You can send your question, or you can send it through chat. Yep, you can send it through chat, or you can, yeah, if you have any question. I think someone raised their hand. Okay, so now, once we have almost our dashboard finished, no? If we go back to our dashboarding from start to finished, we already combined and automate by using Slicer. And now what we are doing is we're here at the end. We're creating dashboards. So we're creating dashboards by combining all the charts that we have created, and then we also can create headlines. Headlines are those summarized values that we can create inside the pivot table as well, and then we can insert text boxes and reference those numbers in our text box. And then we can also create the nature or the description, and then we can combine it by grouping the 2 text boxes. So now what we can do here is we can just create some sort of the alignment. So what we can do, I think we're okay. We'll just pull this down dito. And then we can, I'm just pressing control, no? To select multiple objects, you need to hold down control and then click those objects. So shape format, we can align them. First, we need to align them vertically para ma-distribute sila vertically, and then we can just align them to the left. Okay, so now they are now aligned. What we can do is align our okay, let's align this first. Shape format, align to the right. So now, kung nakita nyo, itong chart na to, it moves to the right because kailangan niyang ma-align dun sa chart sa taas. So siguro gawin nating same sizes sila. Gawin nating 3x4 na lang to. 3x4. And then also this one here, we'll give it 3x4. para same size sila ng ating chart. So this one, kailangan 3 din siya para pantay-pantay sila. Okay, now that we have our chart, we can just, I think, okay, kailangan natin litan, medyo litan natin. Let's make this a little bit smaller. Also this one. So para magkaroon sila ng spaces in between. So now, we can now align them, the 3 chart, align to the top, and then align horizontally, distribute horizontally. Okay. So now let's just align this one. Align lang natin sila to the right. Okay. Okay, so now we have this this chart aligned almost. It's still need a little bit of work, pero we can now proceed with a more formatting techniques. No? So now what we can do is we can insert. Let's try to press pala muna. We'll test it. So if I check Ira Cruz, this is the sales for Ira Cruz. This is her total sales. This is her number of sales. This is her average sales. And the top 3 city by sales for Ira Cruz is let's change this chart, no, city. Let's arrange this kasi okay, let's go back to the dashboard again. I would like kasi yung pinakamataas, yun ang pinaka high sales, yun ang nasa taas, and then second, and then third. So now, ito yung top 3 sales by city for Ira Cruz, Baguio, Cebu, and NCR. And this also the top 3 sales by category, medicine, rice, and fresh food. And this is her sales by category naman. So we can actually insert a title dito sa ating sales by category B. Okay, so that's our title. And for this one here, we can just move it. Oh. We can move our legend down, and then we can just insert another title. Can make it sales over time. Okay, now we have our chart with all the titles. We have total sales, number of sales, average sales. We have sales over time, sales by category. So now, it's still a bit of work that we need to do. What we can do is, if we select one of the chart, dun sa design, there is several designs that you can choose from. So if this is something that you like, let's say this one, then just select it. So that's one. If this is something that you like, then you can just select it, and then immediately you have something. You have something that is pretty already formatted, similar in design, but a little bit different in formatting options. So para hindi na tayo to create our own design, so we can just select which one of the design options Excel is providing to us. So if you like this one, then select that one. And then if you like that one here, you can also select. So just make sure that the design that you are selecting are very comparable and that does not compete with each other's design. So it looks pretty okay now. So what else can we do is we can insert a background. So insert, illustrations, picture, you can select stock images. Let's say you are in the construction industry, you can select this one. These are royalty-free pictures. Or if you are in in a specific industry, you can even select your own picture. Now, let's try to select it. So we can use it as a background. So while this is selected, we go the picture format, and then we need to send it at the back of our chart. We need to send it to the back. And then we have our background. Okay, so that's one way of having your background set up. I'll just delete it. Another way to have your background is also insert shapes. Let's just use the rectangle and then select a color for the fill. So let's say we have, or let's say, let's just choose the blue one. So again, we need to send it at the back of our chart by going to shape format and then send to back. So that's one way of creating background, a ready-made background to our chart. So if you don't like the color naman, it's very easy to change it. Just select it, and then you can try to hover your mouse to that theme colors, and then you'll get an immediate preview. So if that's something that you like, or if this is something that is your that is aligned with your company branding, then you can select it by clicking it. So let's select this color here, the blue, darker 50%. So that's one way. And then okay, so it's now moving very well. So what else can we do with our chart? What we can do is we can do more calculations. It doesn't mean that we're limited to a few charts. If you are familiar with conditional formatting, you can also use conditional formatting. And you can also use the data ranges to be included inside your dashboard. And also you can select, you can also insert pala. One way you can also select pictures. There's a lot of now pictures that you can use in your dashboard. This is online picture. No, that's not the one that I would like to show now. Siguro icons. You can also select icons. Let's say for this one, your product is let's say baby shirt. Let's insert this one. So if that is your icon, yes, you can select it and paste it in some of your chart, and at the same time you can change the graphics. You can change the colors of your icons that you've chosen, and no, if that's something that you like to use. So Okay, so let's go back to our presentation. Okay, in our presentation, what we've done today, this is the what do you call this? The map of how to create dashboard from start to finished. First, we need to have our data in tabular format, which we did. Next is we need to turn it into an Excel table by by pressing Control T. And then we need to give our Excel table a name. Next is we need to create pivot tables. Our shortcut key to create pivot tables is Alt and V. So from there, we can create our first pivot chart by dragging the fields to our pivot table, to our pivot table area. And then to create another chart, we just need to create a copy of our first chart. Next is we need to combine and automate with just a simple cutting Control X and then copying it to our dashboard. We need to create an empty sheet and then place or paste our chart to our new dashboard sheet. And then we need to automate by using slicers and then a little bit of formatting. We can also create headlines. We can create, we can combine text boxes that is referencing our pivot table and then combine those two text boxes to create the headlines. And then at the last is now we are ready to share our dashboard to our to anybody. So this is just our dashboard that we can create today. Very quick, very easy. Anybody can do it very quickly, and I hope I was able to share something for you today. And to finish off our presentation, this is our dashboard that we created today. As we click through the slicers, it respond to its selection, and then you can also create include your own branding or your own company name. So aside from this, I also have my full course, August 10, Dashboarding and Management in Excel. If you're interested on proceeding to the next level of dashboarding in Excel, while this is something that you can use immediately, if you want to use more techniques, there's still a bit more to learn. But what we've covered today is something that you can use immediately to your company, and you can definitely create dashboards on your own. And then also I also conduct Master Essentials of Modern MS Excel. I think this is next Monday, and then Power BI as well. So Excel now is a great tool to use if you are using Excel, especially Microsoft 365. I think this is the best time to learn about Excel. Excel has a lot of functionalities that been released lately, and it's something that we need to learn, because if we're using Microsoft 365, it can definitely help us in our work to become more productive, para matapos natin yung trabaho natin ng mas mabilis, and at the same time mas magawa natin ng magagandang reports, at saka hindi tayo nag-overtime parate. We have control about our time. We can go home on time, we can finish our reports, and at the same time, we have a lot of time for us to use in other activities that we want. In my own experience, I've been using Excel for a long time, and Excel is really the only tool that helps me. So I never do overtime anymore. I just learned how to use Excel to my advantage, and most of the time Excel is the best tool that I've ever used. So for us to leverage or maximize the use of Excel, we just need to go beyond the basics. So I'm active in LinkedIn. If you can send me a notification, so I can share with you some of the tips that I share in LinkedIn. And also I have a Facebook page, I have a website, and you can also email me at this email address. So once again, thank you for coming. Access will be given to everyone who registered, so you can replicate and you can recreate the steps that we did today. And if you have any questions, I'll be staying a little bit more. Kung may mga tanong kayo, okay lang, you can send it through text or you can unmute yourself. I'll let you unmute yourself. Okay, so if you have any question, okay, I think there is a question. Okay, yes, from Syrian, thank you. Okay, no. No problem, Syrian. It's my privilege to help you. And you can also recreate the topics that we learned today. We'll send you the access and also the materials. And to Licia, yeah, thank you, Licia, for your comment. And also to Angelita, thank you. Thank you to everyone who joined. And then if you have questions, you can send it. You can unmute yourself if you like. You can ask questions, and then you can you can talk or you can send it through me. Yes, access will be given. Thank you, Exxon Combes. Thank you for the comment. So anything more? If I'll still be staying for a few more minutes, and I hope you enjoyed our training today. You get something out of it. If you're running reports, I'm sure you're running reports. Dashboarding in Excel is the best tool for you if you're running reports. Yes, it will be sent by email. No problem. So you can recreate the topics or the steps that we did today. I'll send the access to you once the recording is finished. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining. If you don't have any more questions, just feel free to send it to me. But if not, I'll be signing off for today. Please watch out for our future trainings, and thank you for coming, and see you next time. Bye-bye.